Flight D07 approaching runway 7 Bravo.
Cactus 1549, 700, landing fire.
Cactus 15.9, turn left lane 270.
Cactus 1539, inverts, lost thrust of focus, returning back towards LaGuardia.
Okay, you need to return to low body. Turn left heading up 220. Parker's got emergency returning. It's 15.9. He first strike, he lost all engine, he lost the thrust in the engines. He's returning immediately.
Cactus 1529, which engines?
He lost thrust in both engines, he said.
Got it.
Cactus 1529. You can get it, please. You want to try to land runway 13?
We're unable, we may end up in Hudson.
Alright, Cactus 15.9. Could be left traffic to runway 31.
Unable.
Welcome to Deep Dive with Rajesh Ramkumar, and this is the place to be if you want to perform at your peak levels. You just witnessed a miracle on the Hudson. If you want to be the hero of Hudson, the video has all the secrets. The lessons which I'm going to share are relevant to the 8.1 billion of us on this planet. So let's get underway. The enablers of this miracle went into action a long time before Flight 1549 lined up on that runway. Sully became a pilot at the age of 14. He then joined the Air Force and flew the F-4 Phantoms. Then he became a pilot with the US Airways, and he had ratcheted up more than 20k flying hours and 30 years with the airlines by that fateful day. Jeff Skiles also learned to fly as a teenager and was a flying instructor, and he also had about 20,000 flying hours under his belt. He had 24 years of flying with the US Airways. The flight attendants, Donna, Doreen and Sheila, between them had over 90 years of experience as flight crew between them. It's stupendous. Sully attributes this combined experience as a prime reason for the successful outcome. So, enabler number 1, legacy leadership and experience. Action point number 1, don't ever disregard the experience of the old timers. They have a hell of a lot of tacit knowledge which cannot be easily shared or passed down. So stick with them. Enabler 2. As a part of preparing the aeroplane, they went through a codified process called flows. They exchanged information in a standard format. This prevents basic failures from happening and also helps recovery in event of an in-flight emergency. A standardized work environment helps Sully and his crew to stay calm and focused and exchange vital information immediately after the bird strike. Also, a standard work code like the aviators and submariners will help you to seamlessly work with relatively new team members. It's vital. Remember, Jeff and Sully had been flying together for the first time, and it was Jeff's first flight as a first officer after his Airbus conversion training. So, enabler number 2, standard operating procedures. Processes are vital. Action point number 2, probably adopt practices from other industries like the aviation and the submarining. Caveat, if you can get any submariner to share, that is. That day it was Kyans who had the controls, and that's normal between pilots. After normal takeoff, the aircraft was heading north 000, which is the assigned heading after departure from LaGuardia. Soon the aircraft was at 2,800 feet, climbing up to 15,000 feet, and they were doing a speed of 250 knots, which was about 460 kilometers per hour. Jeff pits the nose for acceleration, and then both of them notice the birds. And Sully calls out, "Birds!" Too late and too close. The birds impacted, and some of them were ingested into the core of the engines and practically destroyed them. There was a sudden loss of thrust. The aircraft decelerated and sagged. Initially, there was complete disbelief in the cockpit, and they call it startle reaction, a feeling of disbelief, dread, and confusion, which is normal. The aircraft continued to climb till about 3,000 feet with inertia and then started descending, about 1,000 feet a minute. You can do the math to know how fast the aircraft will actually impact the ground after that. Sully takes over aircraft, and Jeff Skiles begins to roll out the cockpit actions, many of them. And from here on, both of them have a complete sense of what has happened and what will happen next. And this is the critical enabler of that miracle, and it is called situational awareness, or SA. We stop momentarily here and try to understand what exactly SA is. So here we go. So SA has three contributors. Contributor number one, your own experience and intimate knowledge of the machine or the system. That gives you the power to predict. 40 years of flying experience enables Sully to fly the stricken aircraft and also take the critical decision of not trying to land at any airport. This is attributable just to your past. Contributor number two, if contributor number one was experienced, contributor number two are the codified procedures and standard communication procedures, both internal and external to the aircraft. This enabled the entire system, from the pilots, the ATC, and the rescuers, to be completely situationally aware, and they could respond with the minimum possible time delay. This is attributable to the industry you're operating in. Contributor number three, if number one was experienced, number two was standardized operating processes, number three contributor is just you, the human being. Your sense-making skills, emotional stability, self-awareness, personality, and even your physiological state matters here. You need to observe the situation as it unfolds, learn as it pans out, communicate calmly, and take actions. So contributor number three enables you to gain tactical situational awareness and remain in control of the situation. And this is critical, as loss of SA is the primary reason for unraveling of the entire crisis response. Sully and Jeff saw the birds. That gave just enough time to anticipate what would happen next. He would take over the aircraft, as Jeff had no real experience in flying a 320. He passed on a clear message to the ATC after that. He chose to land in the Hudson, the best possible course of action on that day. The ATC operator, Patrick Harton, did a fantastic job in gathering SA himself and guiding Sully. So in a sense, SA helps you to take actions to contain the situation or even reverse the crisis. Remember, to have full SA, you need to have all the three contributors present. But there's a caveat here. In the best of circumstances, with enabler number 1, 2, and 3 present, you still have a definite lag between the event and the initiation of the first action. Why is that so? So I decided to call in Captain Rajkumar, a pilot and a Navy veteran, to talk to us. He's a decorated Indian Naval veteran and was one of the most experienced pilots in the Indian Navy at the time he retired.
My name is Captain P. Rajkumar. I'm an Indian Navy veteran. I was a helicopter pilot in the Navy for almost 34 years. I was an instructor pilot and I was responsible for training hundreds of young pilots on helicopters of Chetan and Sea King. When it comes to flying training, essentially the pilot training, the core essence of teaching a human being to fly is based on a mantra: aviate, navigate, and communicate. No matter what happens of the unforeseen circumstances that can arise in the air, you need to continue flying the aeroplane. That is what essentially the aviate means. Having got the aircraft under control and continue to make that aeroplane fly, even though however badly it is stricken, the next step is to navigate. That is when you take your decision to where to go now with the stricken aircraft. Having decided where you are going to head with this stricken aircraft, then you come to the third step, which is called the communicator step. That is when you announce to the whole world as to what has happened, where are you, what is your next decision, and how are you going to conduct it. So as and when this malfunction occurs, It will take an X amount of time for him to register as to what has gone wrong with the aircraft, and then further X amount of time for him to comprehend and to come to a decision as to what are his options and what actions that he need to take. This is inevitable.
So action point number 3. Nothing more than train, train, train. Or educate, educate, educate. Test your organizations realistically, and this is going to take the longest time before SA as a concept is accepted and maintained by you and your organization. In the end, we come to the final enabler number 4, teamwork and leadership. So what stands apart with Sully and his team is that while Sully was flying, Skiles was backing up for him. Mutual backup happens only when you have a cross-trained, competent team, full psychological safety to speak up, and knows the exact way to back up too. This is critical. So action point number 4, you need to have dedicated leadership coaching irrespective of your industry. Remember, it's your human capital which will work miracles for you. So with that, we come to the end of this episode, and I hope to have added value to your knowledge in handling high velocity situations. And I hope you have found a submariner's point of view interesting. I know that I've just scratched the surface of this topic here. Feel free to get in touch with me for very deep insights about this. So thank you for being here as always. Like, comment, subscribe, and share, please. Bye for now, and make miracles happen.